I'm a very lucky DM. I get to play in all sorts of games that you run. I run my own game at home. I run games at conventions. I play in one shots. And I'm really happy that I get to do that. But then there's you. Then there's you and your forever DM status.
Yeah, so maybe you can relate to this. I got into D&D in high school, and I DM'd the first campaign for me and my friends. And now, 20 years later, I'm still DMing campaigns for my friends and getting people into the game, both here on YouTube and in real life. And so today we're going to take a little humorous look, and maybe you can relate to some of these things, at 7 signs that you've become a forever DM.
Or as I'm going to call this, the make Kelly feel bad for what he's done in the Monty episode.
Yes, I'm going to take one of my players to task on this one. So there's a lot to discuss, so let's get rolling. Okay, so the first sign that you might be a forever GM. If you don't schedule the game, it doesn't happen.
I think that a lot of DMs just have to do this. You're not just the DM, you're the planner, group chat moderator, you're the emotional logistics coordinator. Uh, as the DM, a lot of people look to you to be the one organizing the game.
Yes, and it sucks because when you take a break or you get burnt out, which you inevitably do, every DM gets burnt out. It sucks. But the problem is that when you get burnt out, the game just doesn't happen and you don't get to play any RPGs at all, as opposed to no one else steps up to the plate to run a game so that you can take a break.
It would be nice if we lived in a world where if the DM is like, I don't know if I can run this week, but everybody is actually available, somebody else could be like, hey, I'll run a one shot, or maybe I'll take on the next 2 weeks, or you could do a rotating DM. But if you're the forever DM, those aren't options.
Yeah, and you definitely get to this point where you start to feel guilty, where you're like, I am not feeling it, but if I cancel, no, we're not getting together.
Well, then we have a whole conversation about
Yeah.
mental health and how
Yeah.
important it is to take the time off if you need it.
Yeah,
Um,
but the guilt is there that then you've just killed the social gathering for the week.
yeah.
And it's ironic because I so often hear from people that want to play D&D, like, how do I find a D&D group? And my advice to them is offer to DM, because if you're going to DM, players will just come out of the woodwork. Everyone wants to play. But as soon as the DM takes a step back, it's like the group just dies.
And we have a lot of videos on this channel that you can check out about how to get started with DMing. It's a lot of people see it as a very daunting task. Well, I'm just getting started with the game, so somebody who's experienced should run it. But DMing doesn't have to be daunting. If you're a new group, then you're all learning together. And part of that experience is learning both the DM role and the player role. And honestly, I think all players are better players after they've ran a game. And all DMs are better after playing a few games. They go hand in hand.
So the next sign that you're becoming a forever DM is usually that you've run multiple campaigns from beginning to end, either level 1 to 20 even, but you can't really think of how many times you've played a character past 5th level.
Hey, how far did you go in my game?
I think that for me, fortunately, I'm going to expand this rule and say that, like, maybe you can count on, it depends on how many years you've been playing, but I'll say for myself, right? I have had my Adventurers League characters, which I think is a bit of a different thing. Like,
It's
I played Adventurers League so that I got the chance to play.
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
And so I've had Adventurers League characters that have gone all the way to level 20 and 30 and 4th edition, stuff like this. But I think for your campaign that I played with you, we played to like level 10.
Yeah.
And then I did play, there was a campaign that I played in high school that we did get to, like, again, like level 10 or so in 3rd edition.
Still, that's like 3.
3 times in 20 years.
Where I have played in 5 of your campaigns that went to level 17 plus.
Yeah. I can't remember, like, I've never experienced multi-classing in 5th edition as a player. Like,
I mean,
except
other
for a
than
one
one
shot.
shots, yeah.
Yeah, like, or anything like that, right? And, like, I definitely have gotten to the point now too, where you kind of get this, like, weird tendency too, where even when I'm not DMing, I am still in the DM mindset, right?
Yeah.
It actually makes it really weird to sit there because it's like, I know what this monster is. I know what the stats of this is. Or I can even remember one instance where I was sitting down to play a game, and we had started the campaign, and I had this realization dawn over me that the DM was running an adventure that I'd run. Oh no. And they and I was like, I said afterwards, I'm like, I'm really sorry, but I've run this adventure before.
I mean, you can shut that part of your brain off.
Yeah,
I mean, I say that coming from a place where we write adventures together and then I
yeah,
play in them, but, like, there it's tough. It is
yeah,
tough if you are playing in an adventure where you already know what the plot twist is. You already know the villain's motives, all the secrets, all the traps, where the treasure is. That you already know all that, especially if they're running it right out of the book. And like, yeah, if somebody throws a troll at you, you're like, I know exactly how much damage I need to
yeah,
do to kill this thing. Um, and it can be a challenge. Now, mind you, even as a player playing long enough, you start to know those little things. But I will agree that, like, definitely, uh, you've only played in a handful of my games,
yeah.
and we were pretty short stints. My home games tend to not make it very far past level 10.
The other thing that you don't learn as a DM is how to deal with the fact that you have far less spotlight time. Like, you're not in the driver's seat. Like, I equate it to this. It's like, if you are someone that drives a lot and then suddenly you're sitting in the passenger seat, it feels weird physically to sit in that front passenger seat if you're usually the driver, especially of like your own vehicle,
Yeah.
right? And it's just it is a weird thing that sets in after a while. Yeah, I don't know how else to describe it, but maybe someone in the comments can relate to that.
I got one that I actually can attest to here.
Okay.
So, another sign that you might be a forever DM, your players won't DM because they're not as good as you.
Yeah, this.
This was actually a hard part for me to jump into the DM seat,
Mhm.
is that I was intimidated on the comparison.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of people and groups run into this because you've had this established DM for so long, and the expectation is usually that another person is going to sit down in that DM seat, but DM for all the same players.
Yeah.
And especially if that new person hasn't had the same amount of experience in, like, we're all friends, but yeah, that comparison even between your own friend group is it's a real thing, and it's a real thing that stops people from getting in the DM seat because they don't wanna let the rest of the group down.
You can still catch me get imposter syndrome when I run my games for at cons and stuff, and I sometimes will start being like, "Hey, everybody, I'm not gonna play like Monty." And I always feel like I have to say that because people watching
Mm.
our channel see you as a DM so often that, yeah, it is a bit of a challenge, but that challenge, I'm happy that I took the leap to DMing. It's why we have this channel. It's
Yeah,
why we do everything that we
and
do.
and that's why I say to you, it's like, "You are the best DM I've ever had."
And I think you saying that to me after our, like, 3rd or 4th game together was kind of the motivation I needed to keep DMing. So if you are the forever DM and one of your players decides to try DMing and might feel intimidated because they're stepping into your seat, make sure to encourage them. Make sure to let them know all the things that they
Yeah,
did. Don't finish the game and be like, "You got this rule wrong. You got this rule wrong." Don't worry about the constructive criticism. The first thing that they're gonna need to hear is that they were awesome.
I've seen and talked to someone who blew up their chances of ever being a player by doing exactly that. One of their players got into the mantle of DMing and, in their words, did a terrible job. And they gave them all the harsh feedback. And that really sucks. And so, yeah, it's unfortunate because people do have to find their legs when they are
The
DMing.
first game's not gonna be the best game.
Yeah,
They know that. You don't need to tell them that they
yeah,
got some stuff wrong. Tell them what they got right, because the moment that they're sitting in that DM seat, especially after being DM'd by you for a very long time, that's gonna mean the world to them.
yeah.
It meant the world to me. It's the reason why
Mhm.
we're where we are, is because Monty told me I was his favorite DM. And maybe I was an excellent DM, and I didn't make as many I made a few mistakes. You exploited them
Yeah, and I give you a
greatly.
hard time too. And
Yeah.
I would caution other DMs that when you do get in the DM seat, like, it is really tempting to wanna, like, cut loose, and but you got to take that in moderation. So, an honorable mention, not one of our 7 signs, but an honorable mention nonetheless, that you might be a forever DM, is that you spend a ton of time watching D&D videos on YouTube while preparing for your game.
For you forever DMs out there, if our videos help you run better games, consider supporting our show on Patreon. You'll get early access to episodes, monthly bonus videos, and access to our exclusive Discord chat with us and the cast and a whole community of other game masters like you that are helping each other run their games.
And running games for each other, because there is a Looking for Group channel and a lot of active groups running on our patron-only Discord. At the $10 tier, you also get our monthly Eldritch Experiments, which are packets of 5e subclasses, spells, and feats for playtesting for our future books. And you'll unlock a brand new actual play series where Forever DM Monty gets to play, well, Kelly runs some cool systems like Vaesen and Alien RPG.
And if you want even more, our Demigod tier includes full raw footage and monthly DM prep live streams with us. So support the show, get something awesome in return. Join us at patreon.com/dungeondudes.
Back on topic.
Yeah.
This is an experience that I have a lot, and I've been having this increasingly as I have been getting opportunities to play. When you do get to play as the Forever DM, you get decision paralysis over what character you should play. It's like, I have to play the be all, and like, what is the thing I am itching to play? Like, for me, it's like, I want to play this character. I kind of want to play this, but it would be really cool if I got to play this. And then I can't decide what I actually want to play.
The fact is, I get decision paralysis and I make like 5 characters a year to play in actual games. If you only get like 1 or 2 a year, and we make all these videos about all these cool builds, that actually is the struggle, I think, for both of us, is every time we make a video about a build, you and I walk away from that video being like, man, I want to try it out.
I know, or I want to try that concept. Yeah, it is really challenging, and I definitely find that it's like, what am I going to play this time? Like, sometimes it's easy for me. It's like, I'm going to just play a wizard again. And then I go, oh no, you shouldn't play a wizard again. You always play a wizard when you get the chance to play. But it
You know what's really weird though? In one-shots, I've played 3 artificers so far in our one-shots.
yeah.
And I don't know why. I don't need, like, I have so many builds I want to try, but I just default to clerics and artificers. Maybe I like being a support character.
And I know that there's a lot of other Forever DM that out there that have made a ton of characters that they have waiting in the wings, and like, they'll sneak them into their campaigns as NPCs. But then you end up with this stack of player characters that you've made that you want to play, and then you get the chance to play, and you are looking at this mountain of character sheets being like, I have to choose one?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that also feeds into that whole thing, is where as a DM, you also get used to playing the entire world. So you get this cool experience as a DM where you always get to switch gears. Like, in one sense, you're playing the villain, and in one sense, you're playing the helpful NPC. In one sense, you're playing like the helpless, hapless villagers. In one sense, you're playing the monster. So when you're DMing, you get to explore lots of different ideas, but you never get to go like a mile deep like you do with a player character.
Yeah. I find that they're both very different experiences. When I'm sitting in the DM chair, I really get to have fun playing villains, which you don't often get to do as a player. But when I'm playing a player, I get to explore the absolute depth of my character's backstory, who they are, what they become.
Yeah, and I do think that is a good mindset to be in. Like, there are like DMs that like to have a DM PC, and we really discourage DMs from doing that. You can't have the experience of a player from behind the screen. It's never gonna be the same.
Yeah.
But where you can bring out that impulse is by playing your villains as authentically as possible and really immersing within that role of it. And I find that that's a lot of fun.
One that I think both of us can attest to from our years of DMing is you probably spend as much time preparing for your game as actually playing it,
if not more.
I think this doubles down for us because we're creating content for a show.
Yeah.
So Monty and I now spend twice the amount of time prepping as we do actually playing.
Everyone's amount of prep. Every DM is going to find the right amount of prep for them. And I do think that, unfortunately, the trend line of the Forever DM is that it increases.
Yeah.
Because I do think that for people who are Forever GMs, there's something about the TTRPG hobby that is really special to you. And one of the most fulfilling parts of any hobby is finding a way to enjoy it on your own. And so you are able to enjoy the act of creation and the hobby as a whole as it comes from designing dungeons and creating monsters and preparing your adventures and building this lovely sandbox that you get to share with others. Like we've talked about that whole example of like inviting your friends into your Minecraft world. There
Yeah.
is something really satisfying about building something and then sharing it with other people and working on that for a long time and putting a lot of effort into it. And I think that at the end of the day, I would say this. If your prep time is enjoyable to you, it isn't causing you stress, and you are finding creative fulfillment in that, and it is not taking away from your responsibilities in life and your enjoyment of the other elements of life, doesn't matter how much prep time you're doing. It really doesn't, because you're getting something out of it personally. You can prepare as much as you want. Where it becomes a problem is when
You're stressed out.
you're stressed out, you're not doing your homework, you're not writing your essay, you're forgetting to pay the rent, you're not eating, or you're like forgetting other things, like, you're forgetting to take the dog for a
Stop
walk.
describing us.
or like your family is wondering where you
Yeah,
are
stop describing us.
because you're busy preparing your game, right? But if you're having a wonderful time dreaming up a fantasy world, there's no problem. There really isn't.
There are some sessions where I write 3 words on a napkin and go to town, but then there are other times where, like, I get into creating maps, writing backstories for my villains,
Yeah.
deciding on plot points that are gonna, like, weave together, and on those days, those are great exercises for me.
Yeah. I think that is the biggest thing about DMing is there's an immense amount of creative fulfillment to be found in DMing. And I would say that if you're feeling like a forever DM and you're not feeling the creative fulfillment that comes from being it, that's when you definitely need to take a break.
Yeah.
On the flip side, I think the really tragic thing of being a DM and a forever DM in particular, and this goes a little bit hand in hand of like never getting to play past level 5, is that you also probably read a lot of other RPG systems, and you might have also tried a lot of RPGs in one shots. And you actually have maybe in your head this dream campaign that you would love to play in. And that's probably the campaign that you're running. But you are never going to get the opportunity to play that for yourself because you just ran it. So none of your players are going to run that campaign for you, because it's like, I think a great example of this is like the DMs who, I just ran Curse of Strahd, but I would love to play Curse of Strahd.
Here's a fact. I do not own the book for Curse of Strahd because I am still holding out on the day you decide to run it for us, and it's never gonna happen because we're doing our own
Yeah.
worlds now, but, like, I never bought that book because I was like, "I don't wanna read it, I already know I wanna play in a Curse of Strahd campaign."
Yeah, and like I get the opportunity to play tons and tons of other games and systems, and like, you and I were even having this conversation to shout out the Patreons. It's like I have a lot of fun playing Alien RPG and Vaesen and other systems. Like when we go to cons and everything, we try a lot of new stuff. But then, but I never get the opportunity to play a long form D&D campaign.
Because I'm in so much D&D that when it comes to like, running games, I like running systems that allow me to explore the worlds that
Yeah.
I haven't gotten to explore, but it was a very interesting conversation. It hadn't occurred to me when we first sat down after we ran Alien, and you were like, "Can you do some D&D?" And I was like, "Why would I do D&D? All we do is D&D." And you were like, "'Cause I wanna play D&D." And I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
right." So, yeah, that was eye-opening. So,
Yeah.
maybe I'll run D&D at some point because Monty's opinion is valid, and I
Right.
want him to play.
But on the flip side, it's like, you know, uh, like it is one of those things of wanting, like, you see the amount of effort that like a lot of DMs put into their campaigns, and like think of Drakenheim as an example, right?
Yeah.
Like, I Drakenheim specifically, like I would love to play a faction intrigue campaign as a player, right? But will I get the chance to play as a player in Drakenheim? Probably never. right?
Yeah.
Aside from like a one shot or something like that, but to like the that original experience, right? Because I've run that, right? So I think that this is it reminds me of that line from uh Infinity War. That the Red Skull said, it's like guiding others to a treasure I cannot possess,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like that's very much, I think, a feeling that a lot of DMs and a lot of forever DMs specifically wrestle with, and it does kind of suck.
The last thing as a forever DM, you don't remember what it's like to just show up with dice and a character sheet and sit down and play a game. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
you and I have took part in one shots together, and I think those are actually a magical experience for you and I, is that we get to go to cons sometimes, and you and
Yeah.
I get to sit down and actually be players together, which is a treat. Monty and I always bounce off of each other. In the last one, we played, what was it? I Was Your Dwarf Father.
Yes, and I played this was the Valor Bard fighter
Yeah,
where I was a dragonborn named Metallica
I
Dragonforce.
adopted him
Yeah.
as an egg, and,
Yeah.
yeah, you were a Metallica Dragon Force, and I raised him as a dwarf father would on rock and metal. Um, and, like, we love coming up with those ideas and bringing those to cons, but, like, that's the only time at conventions, which luckily we get to go to several times
Yeah.
a year. But if you're not a person who frequents conventions, like we are lucky enough to do, then you're probably at home being like, "Who's gonna run a game where I get to just show
Yeah.
up and be like, 'Here's my cool character'?"
Yeah, and as I said, for myself, one of the things that I did was I played a lot of Adventures League, and I met a lot of my best friends from playing like at game stores and playing Adventures League and Living Forgotten Realms, and things like that. And I got to play with friends, and it's a great thing to do at conventions as well. But I would say, as someone who has done the Adventures League thing, it's not the same as
Mm.
it's not the same experience as going through a whole campaign with the same players, the same DM, and like having that bespoke experience. Adventures League is awesome. Don't get me wrong. With the right mix of people, it really is something that's cool. And organized play is it's something that's worth trying. It's a great way to get into the game. It feels like a string of one shots
Yeah,
rather than that
an ongoing, yeah.
continuity, the continuity of the storyline of an ongoing campaign, right? And so I have a lot of fond memories of doing that kind of stuff. But yeah, like that deep emotional role playing and like the depth that you can go into that you see with a long form group. Yeah, and the fact that you're able to get that when you just had a character sheet and dice and that was all you had to prepare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that as we come to the end of this episode, there's a lot of forever DMs out there. We hear about it all the time in our comments section
Yeah.
of people being like, "Oh, this character build sounds great, but I'm a forever DM." And I do want to point out that if you are feeling like being a forever DM is a negative thing, you may want to look to adjust some things at your table. Ask your players, try to encourage people to step into the DM role. I think it's really powerful. But also, I've talked to Monty many times, and you can probably speak more about this, but sometimes being a forever DM is not the negative thing we make it out to be. Sometimes being the storyteller is the most powerful thing for you.
I will say I do genuinely prefer DMing. I have a lot more fun doing it. I think that one of the best things about being the DM is getting the creative fulfillment that comes from crafting a world. And I will say, like, my secret sauce of it is that as the DM, the spotlight is kind of always on you. Like you get to play more D&D when you're playing because you kind of, and I'm a bit of a control freak, and there's all sorts of other things that like go into the personality type that I think puts you in that
Yep.
box, right? And so for me, I do genuinely enjoy what I think the other thing is that like I'm also the type of person that like I never cared about spoilers and stuff like that, and like I get a lot of enjoyment from seeing how the story pieces together. And at a certain point, I can't stand the suspense anymore.
You don't like surprises.
Yeah, yeah, it's a weird thing.
I prefer being a player. I love DMing. I just find that I, I've always been fascinated by character stories. And the idea of focusing on a single character and telling their
Mhm.
story. It also helps that I have a DM like Monty where we work together to bring my character's story to life in
Yeah.
really meaningful ways. And I think that we help craft worlds together, which is a beautiful collaboration now. And I can only dream of every DM out there having a sort of duality that we have
Yeah.
as a DM and a player. But I do enjoy DMing. I'm lucky that I don't think I would enjoy being a forever DM because playing is my preference. I enjoy both. They're close. But it is reassuring to know that you prefer DMing because I don't feel as bad for denying you all of the games that I've had.
Yeah, I know that there are forever DMs out there that would really prefer to play. And I think that that's a really tough place to be in, and I have a lot of empathy for people that are feeling that solution because there's not a lot of great solutions to it,
Other than
right?
trying to convince your friends to DM
Yeah,
too, and if they all say no, then you either don't play
yeah.
or you DM.
I mean, that's where what I would say is I think that for a lot of forever DMs, I think that finding games online has been a big solution to that
Yeah.
problem because I do think that you can find a lot of communities. Again, shout out to our patron only Discord server. There's a lot of great groups that where every single person in that group is a DM.
Yeah.
And I think that you end up with a really high quality, like, I think a table full of people who are experienced DMs all playing together is a pretty exquisite experience.
And that's why also I'll
Yeah,
say if you're a player watching this video, try DMing.
yeah,
Maybe just a one shot, and like, you know, try it out. See
yeah,
if you like it. It's actually really cool to tell a story, and you find out eventually when you're DMing that you're still just playing D&D with your friends.
exactly.
And that's really the fun of it.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for watching. If you're a forever DM, tell us about how you handle it in the comments below.
Yeah, we can make the comments a little bit of a forever DM support group.
Yeah.
So our hearts out there. We're all in this one together. Our videos and live streams are made possible thanks to our incredible Patreon supporters. Follow the links right down below, patreon.com/dungeondudes.
And if you want to see our Forever DM running amazing games for all of our Forever players, you can check out our actual plays in the World of Drakenheim, which airs Tuesday evenings right here on YouTube. You can check out all the previous episodes right up over here.
And Forever DMs, we got your back. We got tons of DMing advice right up over here.
Please subscribe to our channel, like this video, and ring that bell so that you never miss an episode.
Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time
In the dungeon.